Joe Dispenza says that 95% of everything that we do in life as an adult is the result of our subconscious mind. And wow, that had me thinking because according to that science, only 5% of everything I do on a daily basis is in my control, right? So that made me want to create this video because I believe all of us should start some sort of self awareness practice. And this is a video if you're in two minds whether you should start any kind of healing method or therapy, coaching, yoga, meditation, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a video where I would like to talk about the reasons as to why all these methodologies to bring awareness are super important and my experiences as to how I got here and what triggered me to start on this path. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Florina and I'm a holistic life coach. I have been on this path for over 10 to 15 years. I work with various methodologies from, coaching to healing to somatic practices and plant medicine. So anyway, let's dive in. So my experience, so how I got here and why I started on the healing path, right? So when I was university, I started my career as a lawyer initially, and I went to law school, and obviously that was super demanding. And I was studying in London at the time, and by background I'm Romanian, so obviously there was the added stress of being a foreigner, new country, new language, all that, and studying law, which is a super technical field. So I started having anxiety attacks around exams and around assessments, and not because I wasn't prepared, but because I was thinking about everything that could go wrong. And of course that made me go into freeze mode and paralysis, and yeah, I was super scared all the time. So one of my friends convinced me to go to therapy, and the way she did it was super kind and gentle because you have to put things into perspective. So as an Eastern European woman coming from a society that doesn't condone therapy, doesn't condone self-development, it was difficult for me to accept that, oh, I should go to therapy because only people that are sick or there's something wrong with them go to therapy. But the way she convinced me was so nice and gentle. She said to me, listen, it's on another campus. Nobody needs to know you're going. The building is separate. There's a separate exit. Nobody will ever know that you went. And you can just go once, see what happens. And if you don't like it, you don't have to go again. It's not an obligation. And all those things put together convinced me to actually go to therapy. So yeah, that was ages ago, my first year in university. And that's when my journey began. So I went to this first session, and we started talking about everything, and I just started crying. And it was for the first time ever that I just started crying when talking about myself. And I started talking about things that I would never have the courage to voice to my friends or family because of fear of being judged, shame, and all these things. And of course, needless to say, I continue with therapy, and many things came out in therapy. So initially, we started talking about basic things like, mindset. Why do I think, I'm going to fail exams when I'm preparing and I'm super prepared? Then we obviously started going to like my perfectionism, my inferiority complex as a foreigner in London and as a woman. So, we started going through the mindset things, but then of course we started to dig deeper into the childhood traumas, and a lot of it came out which I didn't even know was there, or I didn't even perceive it as trauma because my understanding of trauma wasn't clear. So obviously I started working a lot with my therapist, and then over the years I started exploring with other methodologies as well. Well, the whole point is that it completely changed my life, my relationship with myself, and my relationship with others. And some of the reasons why I highly recommend starting on this path, as I said, it doesn't matter if it's coaching, therapy, meditation, yoga, as long as it's something that will help you to bring awareness. So the reasons, the list is long, but just a couple of reasons that kind of like hit me in my journey, and I found these changes to be happening in my life. Well, first of all, I realized that I wasn't loving myself. So if I don't love myself, how can I love others, right? Because we treat others the way that we know how to treat ourselves. So if I don't know how to show myself love, how can I show others love? And also the other fact was that I was holding myself to such high standards, like impossible perfectionist standards. I was also holding others to the same standards. So my own insecurities leaked into my personal relationships, and I self-sabotaged many romantic relationships because I was having, unrealistic expectations simply because I had the same expectations from myself. So because I didn't have that awareness that I gained through therapy, I was essentially self-sabotaging relationships in my life because I simply treated people the way I treated myself, and it wasn't the kindest way to do so. One of the other reasons to start on this path, and something that really changed my life as well, was this acknowledgement and this learning that the body keeps the score. Maybe some of you have heard about this book, The Body Keeps the Score, or some of you are familiar with the work of Gabor Mate, and they both speak about how trauma actually is stored in the body, how stress is stored in the body, in the body's memory, and how diseases are actually linked to trauma and stress. And so the more I went on this path, I started to realize how much I was somatizing, how much I was transforming experiences that were happening to me from the outside, and I was turning them inside me into somatic symptoms. So, for example, I remember once I was having a big fight with my mom, and then I started having vertigo attack. And then I went to my acupuncturist because I was doing acupuncture for years, and obviously we got talking, and then they explained to me that actually the liver is the organ in the body that stores the emotions related to anger and frustration. And I was super angry and frustrated with my mom. Parents, they know how to press all the buttons, right? So my mom pressed all my buttons. And then, as a result of that, because I couldn't manage those difficult emotions and the anger I felt in those moments, I somatized it. So my body just suppressed it and took everything in, and then it all translated in the energy lifting up in my body, and I started having vertigo attacks. So that's just one of the examples how I learned that self-awareness and working with the body and simply just being aware of myself and how I function really helped me a lot. Another reason why I believe that everybody should be on this path is because a lot of us are so stuck in survival mode, and we choose careers because our parents says so, society says so, that's where the money is and all that, and I have ideas in our head about what we are supposed to be doing, but actually we're not really doing what our soul wants us to be doing. And of course that is because we live in survival mode, and a lot of us, me included, I used to be a workaholic, so I used to work like 16 hours a day, and that was my standard. And also because it was the industry I was working in, because for a very long time I worked as a lawyer, and in those kind of corporate environments, you work a lot, but that was the standard, and I didn't question it once. But it was only years after that I started working more and more on myself that I realized that actually that was my survival mode. It was protection mechanism. There was something inside me that was trying to prove something to the world, to myself, my feelings of inadequacy, not being enough, my background, and all these things. So obviously all these examples I'm oversimplifying here today for the purpose of this video. But the whole point is, if ever you're doubting that you should start some sort of self-development practice, or if you have a friend or a family member that you think should start on this path, this is your invitation to start. This is your invitation to come back to yourself, come back to your roots, connect with your soul, and see what is it that you actually need. Because a lot of the times when our clients, for example, I ask them, how do you feel today? And then they tell me what they think. And this is something that I see a lot with people. We are disconnected from our feelings, we are disconnected from our bodies, we are disconnected from our emotions. And then going back to what Joe Dispenza says, that 95% of everything we do on a daily basis comes from our subconscious starts to make sense. Why? Because we are so stuck in the mind, we are so stuck in the thinking that we don't even connect with the body, we don't connect with the heart, we don't connect with the soul anymore. We don't even know how we feel. And this for me has been mind blowing as well, because I lived a big chunk of my life not knowing how I feel, or not being able to translate, or not being able to process those emotions. And then I allowed the brain to just take over and just follow the plan, because I said I'm going to do this and I just did it. But I completely ignored myself, right? To the detriment of my authenticity. So, in a nutshell, these are a couple of reasons of why I personally believe that everybody should start some sort of self awareness, self development practice. And if you can, try to find someone that can support you on this journey. And why I say this because we all have blind spots. I know I had so many myself. And yeah, I read all the books, and it was fantastic. I mean, I could have a PhD now in psychology. I read so many books. But I always had blind spots because I can't see what's behind me, right? Like, that's my shadow, that's my ego. Those are the things that are deep inside me that I cannot see because I can only see what's in front of me. And you need someone neutral from the outside to pinpoint and ask the right questions and support you and guide you to help you to see exactly what you're carrying in your backpack, right? Because if I'm turning, I can't see all the luggage and the trauma and the baggage I've been carrying with me for years. So you need someone to help you unpack from your backpack, right? So that's why I would highly recommend to find someone to work with. But generally, it's better if there's someone neutral, because friends and family, as much as they love us, they have their own stuff and they have their own projections that they put upon us, and they think they know what's best for us and they're just trying to help. But working with people that are from outside of our circle zone helps, because these people, they have no interest, they don't know anything, they are just there to act as a mirror and to help us evolve. And I know on my journey I've had quite a few mentors and therapists and coaches, and they all helped me in different ways depending on where I was on my journey. So you don't have to do this alone. And if you still have doubts after this video, feel free to send me a message. Happy to chat about it, or just talk about it to a friend and like just ask them, are you going to therapy? Are you doing this and that? Just like open up about the topic, right? Because I know the first part can be the most difficult one, just like opening up about it. But I'm here to tell you that everything is possible once you open your mind, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. But whether we like it or not, most of our lives are run by our subconscious. So this is an invitation to take more responsibility and to start digging deep into your subconscious mind. And I'm not going to lie, it's not a short journey, but it's totally worth it. So if you have any questions, or if you like this video, please subscribe. Feel free to reach out with any questions you might have, or share this with a friend or a family member that you think might benefit from it. Bye.